Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious today. We got an interesting program today where we've got one birthday to celebrate on today, April 27th, and we've got 4 astronaut birthdays to celebrate on April 28th. We're going to have a guest with us, Rob Fabian from the Via Space. He's the president of Via Space. COO of Via Space is going to be doing a conversation with us tomorrow, and we're checking out our Streamlabs program here. Marty, you have to hit the refresh button in the upper left up there to see it go. I would say we're just making sure everything's going out there just right. Scroll it down, and we'll be seeing behind me definitely the cradle of human spaceflight right there, Hangar S at Cape Canaveral Space Force now. Of course, Cape Canaveral Air Force Base for many decades. Hangar S we're going to talk about, as today is the date in space history, April 27th, when the Mercury astronauts reported to work in 1959. And we're going to look back at that a little bit, their first day on the job. And we've got an auction to talk about this Saturday. STS-31 is in the air, so to speak, orbiting the Earth. STS-90 is orbiting the Earth right now. STS-31, that deployed the Hubble telescope, woke up 33 years ago to the Beach Boys song Kokomo. And in 1998, Columbia, in STS-90, the Neurolab mission, woke up to the Birds song, Turn, Turn, Turn. Always a tradition, the morning songs. We used to play them for you until that's an iffy thing to do in today's social media world. But, and we're also going to celebrate end our show today with thinking about 51 years ago when a spacecraft called Casper landed in the Pacific Ocean. The next to the last Apollo mission was back on Earth, Apollo 16, on this date in 1972. So Marty Winkles, my co-producer here, alluded to him checking our Facebook post over there. Everything's going smoothly as we got our ship right a little bit on our Streamlabs, thanks to Jessica Galloway, our Trekkie Techie, always there to help Marty navigate our computer program here. Marty, we're going to talk a little bit about Mercury as we look at the Hangar S behind us there, truly the cradle of aviation, human spaceflight for America anyway, as the Mercury astronauts, when they were selected in 1959, were housed there. All right. Also housed there on the other end were the chimpanzees of the test flights going on in the Mercury program. And the astronauts, Mercury astronauts, didn't put up with that too long, all right? We'll talk about that here in just a little bit, what happened. But speaking of Mercury, you go outside and see the crescent moon tonight, Marty, and you won't see this, but the planet Mercury is high in the sky right now and near the Pleiades star cluster. And this photograph looks like a comet in the sky. But no, it's not a comet in the sky. It is the planet Mercury and a special filter that shows its sodium vapor trail. All right. So the closest planet to the sun is so close that the solar radiation blows off this sodium off of its surface and creates a mighty tail there. So, Marty, you tried to make that bigger and it didn't work, did it?
No, I'm just going to let it run.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you widen trying to widen the view there as we go forward here, and I'll put up the next image. You can't fan it out. Okay. Oh. And I just hit the eye.
There it goes.
There's eye.
It's just running extremely slow.
Okay. All right. There we are. There is the sodium vapor trail there. How cool is that? You can't see it with your naked eye, but astronomers everywhere are now buying this special sodium filter so they can photograph what it's just amazing, the interaction of the solar wind and the solar atmosphere with all of the planets. Of course, we've been having a lot of aurora lately, so go out, look up, beautiful night with the crescent moon dancing towards first quarter this weekend. And we're going to have an auction Saturday, live, online only, starting at noon. And bidagainauctions.com. You can go to them or go to our website, and the auction tab at the top will take you to over 400 items. We have got a incredible display of memorabilia in this auction, from a rocket motor that you could own for $30,000 to that's right, the crew signed Apollo or Challenger shuttle crew all signed that lithograph there, literally worth $5,000 to $10,000 to somebody. There's a Krista McAuliffe signed postal cover. Judy Resnick took Tom Selleck poster and decals and stuff of his famous Magnum show to space on her flight. So check that out. Our auction, you can bid right now. And then the final gavel will hit on over 400 items beginning Saturday at noon. Marty, you've been checking those out, haven't you? There's quite a few cool items in there. Well, happy birthday. Let me put my hat on here. I'm taking it off and on. Happy birthday to Ellen Baker. Ellen Baker is 70 years old, born in 1953 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but she considers New York City to be her hometown. All right. There's her in her purple outfit there, purple. Her orange pumpkin suit there. As we go look at another picture forward here, Marty, there she is with the laptop. I got my party hat on here for her. Let's see. Her maiden name was Schulman, Shulman. She was born Ellen Louise Schulman. Like I said, in Fayetteville, but raised in New York City, a medical doctor. She's flown to space 3 times as a mission specialist for 28 days in space. I'm going to add up our days in space. I didn't do that. 28 for her. She graduated from Bayside High School in Queens in 1970, University of Buffalo, Cornell University, where she got her doctorate degree, and a master's degree in public health at the University of Texas. And her parents were NASA medical officers at Lyndon Johnson Space Center in Houston, and that's where she applied to be an astronaut, and was in the astronaut class of 1985. Ellen Baker there in space. She was on Atlantis 34, STS-34, that deployed Galileo with our pilot friend Mike McCulley. She then was on a microgravity laboratory, Columbia, STS-50, and then she was again on Atlantis for her last time visiting the Mir space station, so she got to see that. So happy big 7-0 to Ellen Baker. And in just a few minutes, we're going to wish happy birthday to these 4 astronauts. John Creighton, born April 28, 1943 in Orange, Texas. Jay Apt, 1949 in Springfield, Massachusetts. Paul Lockhart, born 1956 Amarillo, Texas. And ESA astronaut Leo Eyhart was born in Barats, France. All on April 28th, all right? So I find that very interesting. Well, talking about Mercury and the Mercury astronauts, we'll talk about each of those astronauts in just a minute. But there's my heroes growing up, the 7 Mercury astronauts, around a very crude boilerplate model there. They were reported for duty April 27th, 1959. The first months was tentative training. Within 3 months, they were acquainted with the various facets of the Mercury program. They checked in. It was a Monday, April 27th, 1959. April 28th, they had a general briefing. The 29th, spacecraft configuration and escape methods were practiced. April 30th, support and restraint in the spacecraft. And May 1st, operational concepts and procedures. They had lectures every day, and unscheduled activities involved 3 hours flying time and 4 hours of athletics. All right, so staying in Hangar S that we highlight there for you as our green screen. Marty, you're frequently out there at the Space Center. You have a a badge to go out at the Space Force Center. I asked you earlier, what does that look like today, Marty? If you could just comment on that a minute on our UCX microphone.
Well, the hangar itself looks just like it does in this picture, but the structure on the left, it kind of sort of looks like a metallic building, and the ones on the right, they are no longer there.
Mm-hmm. Look at them cars there, Marty. That's an
Yeah.
old picture. Is the S still on the building in the meatball?
Yeah, both of those, yes, they're on the
Uh-huh.
building.
Well, we'll have to drive out there one day with you
Yeah,
and
you have to
check
get
that out.
badged.
We would love to do some Stay Curious broadcasts right in front of that, wouldn't we, Marty? All right. To show you what the quarters look like inside, there's Gus Grissom. All right, who gets the top bunk, boys? Here's grown men, Alpha Dog test pilots. And, yep, we got you in a little nice bunk bed there like the kids have at home, in a couch there. Well, that didn't last too long. All right, the primates were also in the same building, or in cages outside with them and so forth. So that was noisy and probably didn't smell too good. And two, the close quarters. So these world famous America's first space heroes, Marty, you know what they did. They pooled their money together and they bought the Holiday Inn in Cocoa Beach, Florida, on A1A. And that Holiday Inn today is a comfort inn, but they have a tribute to the astronauts in there. And there's a Siam Orchid Oriental delicious food, sushi and all that, beside this comfort inn where the former Holiday Inn was, that the 7 Mercury astronauts pooled their money, financed it so they could have a decent place to stay and some privacy, as there's Gus Grissom probably reading the manual, underlining all the things he needed to know. So there's a little bit about our Mercury astronaut guys reporting for duty in 1959 on this date in history. Well, we also launched in space history 32 years ago, Space Transportation System number 39, Orbiter Discovery, OV-103 tail number, blasted off on a pre-dawn sky at Kennedy Launch Complex 39A with 7 astronauts on board. Here are the 7 astronauts there's Gus. There's the 7 astronauts on board in space there. Okay. They include, let's see, Commander Mike Coates, third and last flight. Mike's in the middle there. Pilot Blaine Hammond, first of 2. Greg Harbaugh, first of 4 flights. Don McMongle, first of 3. Guy Bluford, third flight of 4. And Charles Veach, first of 2. And Richard Heeb, first of 3 flights there. And I've never met any of these astronauts, Marty. There's so many of them. And Marty, myself, and some of our friends here at the Space Museum go out there 2 or 3 times a week to support the Astronaut Encounter program, led by Nick Thomas. And there's over 250 astronauts. And none of these that we're talking about today have I seen personally out there. And I don't think you have either, Marty. But we'll know a little more about them when we do. I love talking about the artwork of the mission patches. This is the only arrowhead-looking patch, they call it. It represents a skyward aim to learn more about our planet's atmosphere and space environment in support of the Department of Defense. This was a DoD mission. However, the payloads were pretty much unclassified. It wasn't a top-secret payload. Our national symbol is represented by the star constellation Aquila the Eagle, and with its brightest star Altair. That's at the tip of the rainbow that you see there. Altair lifts a protective canopy above Earth. The space shuttle encircles the spectrum, which represents X-ray, ultraviolet, visible and infrared, electromagnetic radiation, to be measured by the various instruments aboard STS-39 and Discovery. Experiments are operated out of the payload bay from a free-flying satellite, and the vector and all, very simple yet a lot of hidden meaning in these patches, as now you know about how the crew of STS-39 designed their patch, like an arrowhead shape, learning to more about our planet and learning more about the Department of Defense weaponry, as this was a picture released there. This was Star Wars era time, all right, and a lot going on in this picture, Marty. Look at the ion radiation coming off the ohms pods in the stabilizer in the back, glowing as they're going through some part of the Earth's atmosphere that creates that, and firing some sort of a laser uh, out of the payload bay there. So STS-39, another important Department of Defense mission for our nation 32 years ago today. Well, birthday hat back on. Let's burn the candles and the cake here for 4 wonderful astronauts. We have got John Creighton here. Let me get my notes here. Happy Creighton is 80 years old today. All right. Shuttle Commander John Creighton is 80. All right. He was born April 28th, 1943 in Orange, Texas, but considers Seattle, Washington to be his hometown. He's a Vietnam Navy pilot with a taste for fast cars and ski boats. And he was a pilot of one and commanded 2 space shuttle missions. That's very unusual. Just command one. Usually you command 2 of them. So John Creighton, we got another picture of him there in his blues when he signed up for this job. He was very involved in the Challenger disaster, reshaping plans for manned space flight. He was the Capcom on the return to flight, and then worked in the astronaut office. Yes, Marty, a comment?
Yeah, breaking news from Bill Whiting. The Falcon Heavy has been delayed to Thursday.
Okay, the Falcon Heavy's been delayed till
Thursday.
Then today's Thursday.
Oh, wait a minute, tomorrow.
Okay, Falcon. All right, Bill Whiting's telling us that they've pushed back the Falcon Heavy till Friday.
Well, he says Thursday, 7:29, but
Yeah.
it must be tomorrow.
Okay, well, thank you, Bill. We've all been looking forward to seeing that Falcon
wait a
Heavy.
minute. Hang on, I read the wrong message from Bill. SpaceX is still go for a 7:29 launch despite the threat of bad weather. So I apologize for the wrong information.
Okay, all right. No, the breaking news is we're going to wait and see if we're going to launch. And it's a Falcon Heavy, and yep, we're always excited about that around here. So thank you, Bill Whiting, for inviting us up to your place to watch that. Keep our fingers crossed. You never know; they may shoot it between some sucker holes in the clouds. Some places around our. We had some places had no rain yesterday, and they had 4 or 5 inches of hail in Melbourne. So some weird weather patterns here in Florida. So, and I'm weird with my hat on here, but we got Creighton's birthday, 80 years old. Hope he's having a good time. Don't know where he lives, but Jay Apt was born in Springfield, Massachusetts on April 28th, 1949. Happy birthday to you, Jay. That makes him, how old does that make him? I'm looking at my, he is 64 years old. Jay Apton, 49, 74 years old for Jay. All right. Grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Born in Springfield, Massachusetts, but grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Marty, I think Springfield, there's more towns named Springfield than any other town in America. Lots of states have Springfield, just in case you were wondering. Dr. Apt has 4 space flights, 2 spacewalks, and 35 days in space. All right. When he retired from the NASA, he became the director of the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh, something that's on my bucket list there. He taught physics. He was part of the Earth and Space Science Division at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. And here is Jay Apt in his EVA suit. He let's see if I can pull out how many. Yeah, 2 spacewalks. So very experienced. His missions were in 91, 92, 94, and 96. Wow, 4 missions in 5 years. That was some, kept him busy there. Love to meet him. And Paul Lockhart was born April 28th in 1956. That makes him 67 years old. He was reared in Amarillo, Texas. Graduating from Tascosa High School in 1974. His nickname is Paco. He was a test pilot for the F-16 aircraft. Became an astronaut in 1996. 2 space missions as a pilot were 111 and 113. He certainly would have been a commander had the program gone further. Both in 2002, visiting the space station. There he is as a older man now, and he enjoys outreach with STEAM education in his retirement there. So Paco Lockhart. And our final birthday of April 28th, which is tomorrow. All right, and we're celebrating these because we've got a guest tomorrow. Fabian, the COO of Via Space, will be here. Rob Fabian, I keep on calling him John. His uncle John was an astronaut. But we have one more astronaut to celebrate birthday-wise, and that is ESA astronaut Leo Eyhart. Leo Eyhart was born April 28, 1957, in Barats, France, and is a French brigadier general, flying twice in space. He flew to the Mir space station in 1998, and then aboard a Soyuz spacecraft, and then he hopped a ride on STS-122 to the space station 10 years later. And he joined Expedition 16, and he's got 70 days in space there. So 4 astronauts born on April 28th. Creighton, Apt, Lockhart, and the ESA Eyhart. And then we've got Ellen Schumann Baker, born today, April 27th. So hope you've all enjoyed looking at these birthdays today. We'll go there. Doug Forrest, Tom Usiak, Chris Calley, thank you for watching. Steve Hammer, Dave Stange, Robert Law, Cynthia Rossi, and Carlton Bailey's watching. You wrote Carlton Whiting there, Marty, but I know what you meant there. Bill Whiting and Carlton Bailey, thank you guys for watching today. We're looking back. We're going to the moon with Artemis. We hope, fingers crossed and all that, but 51 years ago today, this spacecraft called Casper, that is beautifully displayed at the Huntsville, Alabama, U.S. Rocket and Space Center, is displayed like a jewel, like a gem in a jewel box. And there is its actual parachute that brought it down to Earth 51 years ago today, splashed down in recovery on the USS Ticonderoga on in the mid-Pacific. And of course that was John Young, who's passed away, and his moonwalking friend Charlie Duke, who I've had a privilege to meet both of them in my life, and would love to meet Ken Mattingly, who's also still alive from that mission. And love to meet Ken Mattingly someday. And then I could say I met all 3 from this mission. It was a great mission on the moon, 3 days camping out. It was actually in an area of the moon they thought was going to be very volcanic. It wasn't, and they kind of got fooled by that. But the false positive reading of the lunar scientists learned stuff anyway from that. And just want you to reflect that when you look at the moon, and I know you'll look at it tonight, wherever you are, you'll see that beautiful crescent moon, and think about John and Charlie and Ken coming back from the moon, splashing down 51 years ago today, and the triumphant Apollo era that as a kid I enjoyed, watching on a TV, most of it black and white TV during the day. And it's just amazing, Marty, to think back and over half a century that we haven't been back, and we say we're going back, but frankly, the moon ship, Starship, we just saw it blow up after a 4 minute ride through our atmosphere. So, but this was a ship that brought them back, beautifully displayed there. Casper, of course, Orion was the lunar module, and the base of it is left on the moon there with Marty's gloved handprints all over it as a Grumman lunar module or electrical engineer. So reflect back on that at man's conquest, man's reaching for the cosmos, and this was a spaceship that did it. As crude as it looks, it was the best we had a half a century ago. So with that, we'll end with this beautiful portrait by the great Paul Kelly. This is a portrait he calls the great moment, in Neil Armstrong's great moment of putting his foot on an alien world. 12 men got to experience that, their personal great moment, and putting their feet on an alien world. All that training coming to fruition, triumph and tragedy, the emotions, just incredible. And of those 12 that landed on the moon, 4 are still alive with us. Buzz Aldrin's 92, Charlie Duke and Harrison Schmitt are 87, and David Scott is 90 years old. So we're going to lose them soon and lose their stories, but it's great to hear them and hear their stories and keep their memory alive with terrific, incredible artwork like this of Paul Kelly's, The Great Moment. So with that, I say, Marty, anything to clean up on Streamlabs over there?
Nope, we're good.
Well, good. We're glad everybody watched our program today. Tomorrow we're going to have Rob Fabian with us. Rob Fabian is the Chief Operating Officer of Via Space, our local hometown company. He's got a military background with those silos of destruction out in the Midwest, our nuclear MX system to save us or protect us, so to speak. A good guy. He's also president of the Space Force Club, and we'll find out how you can become a member tomorrow. So thank you, Marty, for a great Streamlabs job. Thank you all for watching today and celebrating 5 birthdays of some of our space heroes, all right? And tomorrow, again, Rob Fabian, Chief Operating Officer of a local 3D rocket printed company, Via Space. You're not going to want to miss that. And join me, Marquette, tomorrow as we bridge the space between us.